Welcome to the first part of this video series titled Callings in Our Sunset Years. First of all, let us begin with a prayer. God of our life, through all the circling years, we trust in Thee. In all the past, through all our hopes and fears, Thy hand we see. With each new day, when morning lifts the veil, we own Thy mercies, Lord, which never fails. God of the past, our times are in Thy hand, with us abide. Lead us by faith to hope's true promised land. Be Thou our guide, with Thee to bless. The darkness shines as light, and faith's fair vision changes in sight. God of the coming year, through paths unknown we follow Thee. When we are strong, Lord, leave us not alone, our refuge be. Be Thou for us in life our daily bread, our heart's true home when all our years have spent. Hello, my name is Esther Wibowo. I am currently 40 years old, and my current vocation is to be a religious sister at Transfiguration Hermitage, a small contemplative community following the rule of Saint Benedict in Windsor, Maine. And that's chapel entrance up there. This primary vocation gave birth to many more vocations. Being a baker, a cook, a cat, dog, and plant whisperer, spiritual director, memory banks for the sisters here, IT support and fixer-upper around the Hermitage, cantor, singer, pianist, knitter, wool spinner, illustrator, and watercolor painter. So, who is this video for? This video are aimed for everyone who is entering or already in their later adulthood, and also the younger one who are curious of what it's like to be in late adulthood. Although everyone from all walks of spirituality is welcome to view this project, the content of this project is primarily based on Christian faith. So, when does late adulthood actually begin? Surprisingly, there is no definitive answer to it. The broad guideline would be when we retire. Mary Bateson says that late adulthood is when you reflect that you have done much of what you hope to do in life, but it is not too late to do something more or different. This project has 3 goals. Number 1, provide a clearer understanding of what is a vocation or a calling. Number 2, transitioning to or in late adulthood can be challenging to some. Life is more than halfway over. We are going through changes in our bodies, relationship, and the sense of time. I'll talk more about the sense of time in the next video. Anxiety might also increase with the transition from a relative stability into uncertainty. This project is about helping you to get through this period of change and to inflame the fire of hope within you. Hopefully, this video can help you to find direction, affirm your faith and identity, and quite possibly help you to discover or affirm your sense of vocation or calling. Well, as you can see here, this project has 3 short videos in a set. The first one is this introduction, and also what is a vocation or a calling. The second part focuses on calling in late adulthood. The final part contains some practices or exercises that you can try at home in order to listen to God's small, still voice. Hopefully, those exercises also help you to discover and discern your calling. So, before we talk about what is a vocation or calling, Let's start by naming several misconceptions of vocation or calling. When we talk about vocation, most people would immediately think of some kind of profession or work or job, something that we do to earn a living and to contribute to society. And also, when we think about vocation, often we associate it with vocation to priesthood or religious life. It's just for priests, pastors, religious brothers, or sisters. My vocation dictates or represents my identity. This is closely related to the misconception that my focus is what I do in life. My job becomes my identity. We mentioned also about late adulthood as the age of retirement. We've done so much in our lives, to ourselves and for others. Then we ask ourselves, what more vocation can we have at this age? And based on what I'm learning, Christian faith, the term vocation or calling is interchangeable. So I would like to propose that from now on, instead of using both terms vocation and calling, let's just call the term calling. I personally like this term better because it has a sense of gentle invitation that we freely respond or not respond to. So what is a vocation or a calling? That is the million-dollar question. Douglas Sherman, in his essay called Calling in Protestant Key, proposed two types of calling. Number one is general calling. This is a calling for everyone, each one of us, to be disciple of Christ. To be a disciple means to be a follower. We are called to follow Christ's example in asking, searching, and finding what God's more desired for each of us. What is God's desire? That we become wholly human as God's image, experience the fullness of life, and being in right relationship with God and other people and the whole of God's creation. Number two, particular calling. As the name says, it is particular to each one of us. We are all created as unique individuals with different gifts and shortcomings. But all of us in our differences are called to make up the body of Christ with Christ as the head. We complete each other. We love each other as God has loved us. Well, things to consider for this particular calling are: is there a need for your calling? Do you have a gift to fulfill this calling? If you have no aptitude to get the job done, you might want to consider or reconsider. Do you have any opportunity that allow you to proceed? Is there a limitation that prevents you from pursuing the calling? For instance, you felt that you are called to do missionary work overseas, but you have a disabled child who needs constant care. Can this be a true calling? Another important aspect is communal affirmation. Is it just me who thinks that I have this calling? Or do other people think so too? All these considerations have something to do with discernment. And discernment is something that we will look in our third and final video. So stay tuned. So let's leave this introduction right here for now. I would like to read this psalm as our closing prayer. For He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture, the sheep under His care. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. So, Are you curious to know more about what's calling got to do with our late adulthood? Well, stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video. Blessings. I would also like to give credits and say my utmost gratitude to people who have contributed to the making of this first part of this video. As you can see here, the opening video is by Matthias Gronefield. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly. And the music is from Tenderness from bensound.com. The photo is from fox4kc.com. And most of the references of the content is from Callings in Today's World, Voices from Faith Perspective by Kathleen Cahalan and Douglas Sherman. And also Calling All Years Good, Christian Vocation Throughout Life Seasons by Kathleen Cahalan. Thank you very much for your contribution.